is the EFGHI coming, or is there a reason that the letters have been skipped? Going to be complete, Mark, without talking about sustainability and the future of electric vehicles in the country. So my first, kind of quirky question is: Mercedes-Benz introduced 4 EQ models.
Yes.
In the last year.
Very proud of that.
Very, 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 very beautiful cars. The EQA, the EQB, the EQC, and then what I can't understand is they've skipped a couple of letters, and we've got the EQS.
Yeah.
So is the EFGHI coming, or is there a reason that the letters have been skipped?
Before I answer and tap into that question, I need to comment on one of the things which you said at the beginning. You said I was instrumental in launching 50 cars in under 5 years. That was during my tenure in Malaysia, and that was I was very proud of that, because when I came to Malaysia, our product portfolio was actually very slim, and I thought we've got so much more opportunity in Malaysia or Southeast Asia if we would just expand our offering and show the fascinating products which we have as a brand. And I always believe being a luxury brand is the brand element, it's the product substance it's quality, and it's the customer service or everything which has to do with a customer. So going on a product offensive has always been top of mind for me in any market I've been acting in, and that's also something which I wanted to do in South Africa. And the obvious low-hanging fruit for me, obviously, in South Africa was that South Africa, in terms of the EV revolution, if I can call it, is at the tail end. I mean, a year ago, or even at the beginning of this year, I think there were in total, I don't think, but the 300 electric vehicles on the road of South Africa.
Yeah.
And there's so much opportunity, and if we see the development in other markets, why shouldn't that happen to South Africa? And on top of that, if you look at the direction we as a company are going, but also many other brands, we've already announced that post 2030, we will only be producing electric vehicles. So if we like it or not for South Africa, we need to wrap our heads around, if we want to sell modern day cars going forward, we need to transform the market into an EV or e-mobility space. And for me, that is not a threat for South Africa, but a huge opportunity. Why do I say that? Because if you look at the South African context, and we all know the reasons, power supply and electricity has been a challenge. But society and the people living in South Africa, to a large degree, have already adapted in that regard. So especially in the Mercedes-Benz segment, which is obviously a privileged segment, many people have gone off the grid. I always say 50% have gone off the grid, or the other 50% are going off the grid or thinking about it. The transition to electric mobility is so much easier, because I mean, in Europe or even in Korea or China, people haven't thought about where electricity actually comes from.
Yeah.
Seriously. And only since the Ukraine war, people in Europe have considered, okay, where does electricity come from? Where does energy come from? Should we be thinking about alternative sources? That transition already has happened in South Africa. And bearing that in mind, the EV revolution in South Africa makes so much more sense. And I think also consumers in South Africa are so much more agile and willing to adapt because of circumstances they are faced with.
Resilient.
Yeah, resilient.
Yeah.
That I think that the transition to EV will become, at least in the topper end of the market, will be much quicker than in Europe, for instance. Basically taking that mindset of going onto a product offensive, the low-hanging fruits in terms of the EV market, and that we actually haven't launched electric vehicles, was just for me a no-brainer that we need to own that topic. We need to own that topic in terms of launching all of these models at the first stage, but also to being the thought leader in that space. That was very important for me, because I think South Africa, being at the tail end of that development, can benefit from that situation. It's not something which is bad. It's something which we can learn from other markets. We can look at the mistakes they made and do it better. But doing it better, we need to actually analyze and see how should we set the e-mobility ecosystem up in South Africa. And for me, those are, in my view, three core topics. It's price parity. We need to give electric vehicles a fair chance in the market. Secondly, it's charging infrastructure, because we're obviously only starting that. And thirdly is a holistic ecosystem. Like, for instance, we need to train our first responders, because handling a accident situation of an electric vehicle in comparison to an internal combustion engine is a totally different requirement.
Yeah.
But because we're only starting that, we've got the chance to do it right and to learn from others. Now, tapping into your question, I obviously, when I came here, we saw that we hadn't launched the electric vehicles, and we knew it was coming. Now, for me, it was important that we make a big impact for the market, and that's why I said, okay, let's bundle these cars. On a global level, we first came with the EQC, then the EQS, EQA, and EQB, and I said, okay, let's group them together and go for a full onslaught. Now, I'm going to blurt it out or give a sneak preview into the kitchen. Start of next year, we're launching the EQE, which then completes that portfolio. And then on a global basis, we've already launched the EQS SUV and the EQE SUV, which will be launching in the course of 2023. And then, meaning by the second half of next year, we will have 7 electric vehicles for our valued customers to choose from.
That's quite a quick ramp up.
Yes.
It's a very quick ramp up if I think about other models that have launched in South Africa. So they're up to 7 within 1 year. That's what
for me, that was important, because we need to show all the alternatives and the possibilities. So if you are a Mercedes-Benz customer now, in a few months' time, you'll have an equivalent electric vehicle for every segment we're in, probably. So from an EQA to EQS and the SUV derivatives, we'll have everything in place. So if you are in the market, for instance, for a GLE, we'll have an EQE SUV. If you're in the market for a GLA, we've got an EQA. If you're looking at the S-Class segment, we've got the top range, the best electric vehicle on the market, the EQS. And so then it's the consumer's choice if they want to go for an internal combustion engine, because they feel that suits their purposes better, which we're happy to provide them. Obviously, our fascinating luxury cars, which are known from the A-Class up to the G-Class if you want it, or if they want to go into a performance car like an AMG, or our super luxury cars, the Mercedes-Maybach range, or the next level technology, the state-of-the-art Mercedes EQ.